Hello everyone, this is Corey Shaw from Windish RV, General Manager out here. Today we're going to be talking with Josh Fonner from Airstream. How are we doing today, Josh?
Doing fantastic. How about yourself?
Doing great. I wish it was the time of year that it's in that background that you have up there.
You and me both.
That is Colorado, right?
It is. It is. That's actually where we did the photo shoot on this new Basecamp 20 you see here.
Awesome. Well, we actually have a question later about that we'll jump into.
Perfect.
Okay, so first let's kind of start this off with a little bit of history of Airstream. If I'm not mistaken, Airstream is the longest standing manufacturer in the country. Is that true?
That is correct. We started in 1931, and actually this year is our 90th year in business, which is a pretty incredible feat for any business, let alone one that travels down the road at 60 or 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, and a lot of that, the stability of your product is the construction. Can you kind of go into a little bit of that construction in the way of building of what has changed or what hasn't changed throughout the years?
So one of my favorite phrases that our founder, Wally Byam, said was, "Only improvements, never changes." It's one of the reasons that when you look at an Airstream from 60 years ago up to now, they really look relatively the same. There have been definitely changes and improvements in construction and materials over that time, but we're really trying to get better every year with what we do. So how we probably have at Airstream, we probably have more in common with how an aircraft is produced than how another RV is produced. And what I mean by that is we use an aluminum superstructure that is basically self-standing. So the entire shell is manufactured and then hoisted up by a crane and then lowered down onto the chassis and bolted to the chassis, versus some other manufacturers which roll a chassis in and put on wall by wall by wall and then add a ceiling onto it. So what does that mean at the end? It means a lot stronger shell and chassis combination that really aids in the longevity of Airstream product. On the note of longevity, we're about 75% of every Airstream produced since 1931 is still on the road, which I think is a testament to how well they are manufactured and the quality we put behind them.
It's absolutely mind-boggling to think of that. That over 75% are still out there on the road or being able to camp in all across the country. It's amazing, and I think a lot of that too comes into play. How long does it take the plant to build one Airstream on average?
On average, it takes about 350 hours to produce a single Airstream. Now, to give you a comparison, if you compare that to your average travel trailer takes between 40 and 50 hours to construct. So there's a lot more hand work time on an Airstream than other places. One thing I hear a lot from people is, you guys gotta have robots, building Airstreams, and that's just not the reality of the industry that we work in. It is handcrafted by artisans that have been doing this for 10, 20, 50. We just had a guy retire from the manufacturing floor after 50 years. That's a long time getting better and honing their craft to do it absolutely the best they can.
Yeah, you guys do some training for the dealers where you come back, and the first time I went out there to that training, I met, I believe, I can't remember his name exactly, but he had been there for, it was like 30, 40 years, and he was the one that cut out all of the panoramic windows. And his forearms were huge. And he was all doing it by hand. It wasn't any machinery, nothing that he was using. It was amazing. So obviously this last year and a half has been kind of a new world for everyone. And we're seeing more and more people who are wanting to work or live full time, and Airstream has really kind of embraced this. And you guys are doing some new things that were just introduced. So you have a new floor plan I think it's called an office floor plan. What exactly is that one called? And can you describe that floor plan to us a little bit?
I'll give you a little bit of background here. We had, as we kind of entered into the pandemic timeframe, we had hypothesized that, as more people were working from home, why wouldn't they want to be able to work from anywhere or work on the road, and kind of take their work with them on the road. So in that vein, we really wanted to embrace that. And while you could still work from any Airstream, we did launch a new floor plan, as you mentioned, just earlier this month in February. And that floor plan is kind of a reconfiguration of an existing floor plan. And we put an office section into the back end cap. So that office section has a bed. It has a desk that'll also convert into a bed. It's called the Flying Cloud 30 Office. So it comes with the rolling chair, kind of complete office setup. Also has a sound deadening curtain that will help separate, if you have more than one person in that unit and somebody needs to work or be on a phone call. Gives a nice kind of enclosed office space at the end. So, based off of what we've seen so far with some customer feedback, it seems like it's something that people are really embracing. I think now that people don't necessarily have to go into an office, that idea of working from this mountaintop in my background here, it seems like a pretty darn good office view.
Yeah, being able to see the country while still working and earning a living while you're traveling. You guys also do some things that are pretty unique in regards to Wi-Fi connections, to be able to give that customer the ability to stay connected if they choose, and then also to be able to get away. Can you explain a little bit of what that connectivity is on those trailers?
That system is called Airstream Connect. Airstream Connect basically kind of has two functions to it. One function is that, let's say you're at an RV park. RV parks are notorious for having somewhat dodgy Wi-Fi. It'll act as a Wi-Fi booster. The other piece would be, let's say you're in this mountaintop in my background here. It will turn your Airstream into a local area network, so you can connect your laptop to it. So it uses a high gain antenna on the roof to basically get you a much better, effectively, cell signal than you would have with your cell phone to really keep you connected. And all Airstreams are pre-wired for that as well. And so customers can choose to have that or not have that on their unit.
Is it from the Basecamp all the way up to the Classic? So on really all of them?
Yeah, all the way from the Basecamp to the Classic. The Classic actually comes with Airstream Connect already installed, but every other unit is pre-wired with all the wiring between the shell already.
That's awesome. You guys seem to always be thinking of the next thing, the next item that a customer wants in the trailer. It's been fantastic to watch.
Well, it's how we hope to keep this next 90 years in business, is hopefully keeping track of it.
Yeah.
Windish hopes to be there alongside with you.
You and me both.
Yeah. So we have a question from a customer of why does Airstream not use slide outs? I know personally that they have in the past. There have been floor plans that have had a slide. I believe it was a sofa slide in a 34 Classic a number of years ago. But why don't you use it now?
So we do actually have a little bit of a slide on the Atlas in our touring coach product. But as far as the traditional Airstream travel trailer, with the exception of I think it was a 2-year period, if I remember correctly, when we made that slide, we've stopped using it. And the reason being, if you remember back to earlier in our conversation, I had said, hey, 75% of every unit that we've ever made still on the road. That's how our engineering team thinks every time they're designing a product. They're designing it to be around for generation after generation after generation. And the reality, and I think most people that have slides on units can attest to this, regardless of what manufacturer that manufactures a slide will break at some point, and they just will. And that's not how our engineering team wants to design a unit. They want to design things that don't break, and really that's why we That's why we don't use one. I think there's one thing about using some pretty common shell shapes for so long. If you go into a Caravelle 16 or a Bambi 16, some of our shortest models, almost every time I go into there with a customer, every customer goes in and says, "Wow, you use this space really well," And after 90 years of doing that, we really kind of learned how to use those spaces perfectly. So one main reason is it increases the longevity of the unit. Two, we've had enough time and practice and experience to use that interior space to the best of its ability to not necessitate a slide.
Yeah. So we've talked about some new floor plans. We've talked about kind of the history of Airstream. This next question is going to be something you guys this year came out with a new Basecamp, which is in the photo back behind you. What are the differences between the Basecamp 20 and the Basecamp 16? And then also, we at Windish, 99% of our Basecamps are the X model. So if you could explain the differences in between the 20 and the 16, but then also explain why the X package.
So I'll start with the first one, the second question first, the X package. So in both the Basecamp 16 and Basecamp 20, we offer a Basecamp 16 and 16X, and then a Basecamp 20 and 20X. So what the X package does, gives you a couple different things. One, you have a little bit more aggressive tire setup on it. Two, you have a lift kit that lifts the whole unit up about 3 inches. Three, you add both stainless steel rock guards and a solar guard to the windows at the front of the unit, which kind of really increases the longevity of that unit. If you're, say, driving out to Fruta and going down 18 road to go mountain biking and you're kicking rocks up from your tow unit, it's nice to have that little bit of protection there. So, in terms of Colorado, the X package is almost a given for anywhere a customer in Colorado is going to take that unit. But if you look at our sales in general, probably, I haven't run that number lately, but I would guess 95% of the units we do come stocked with that X package. So that's X package. To your other question about Basecamp 16 versus 20. The Basecamp originally came out in about 2005, was out for about a year or two, then hibernated for about a decade, and then came back out in 2017 with the Basecamp 16. And it's gone from getting reintroduced in 2017 to being our top 1 or 2 selling model across the country, especially in Colorado. One thing that we've heard from customers with the 16, and I'll use my buddy Rob as an example. It's him and his wife, really outdoorsy, mountain bikers, go all over the place. And then a few years ago, they had a kid, and they didn't want to kick the kid outside to the tent because there's only a single sleeping surface in a 16. But they really wanted a Basecamp, and that's really the question that the 20 answers well. You have some convertible sleeping surfaces. They're both dining and sleeping surfaces. So you have a single one in the 16, and then you go to 2 of them in the 20. So whether you're a family that might have a kid or 2, and you have a sleeping surface that you can leave set up, or set up both sleeping surfaces for multiple sleeping parties, or if you're just a couple that wants to leave your bed set up and then have a dinette fully functional at all times, that's really what that 20 gives you as well. Just a little bit more breathing room, a little bit more space, and the ability to take more people on the road.
Oh, it's amazing. Again, I can't say it enough. It's amazing what you guys do. Our customers love everything about Airstream. It's a pleasure for us all to see these things coming out. So one of the last questions I have for you right now, obviously there's a huge popularity thing. We as a dealership are selling, more than we ever have. Production side of things for you guys, and this isn't exclusive to Airstream, but if you're a customer looking for an Airstream right now, on average, let's say across the country, how long are they waiting for an Airstream to come in?
depending on what unit you're looking for, where you are in the country, lots of kind of different variables in there. But if somebody came in to Windish today and ordered let's use a Basecamp 20 as an example. A Basecamp 20, since it got launched last year, has been our hottest selling unit. If they came in today, they'd probably be looking for a November 2021 delivery date on that unit, just because there's a large backlog of people behind them that have been placing those orders for the last 6, 7, 8 months. And so that's kind of pushed out those delivery dates. However, if there are some other units that they came in to Windish today, they might be able to see in June, July, August timeframe as well.
Again, you guys are not going to push your production so high that you lose your quality in the way of the build that you're doing. It's a frustration for customers right now. It's a frustration for you and I, because obviously we want to take care of our customers and get them in a trailer and get out there having fun with their families or be by themselves right now. But it's just not the way. Very interesting to hear. So everyone, after hearing Josh say it, no, that's coming from the manufacturer. It's not a sales pitch from Windish saying you want to get your orders in as soon as possible to be able to get your trailers sooner rather than later. So, Josh, I wanted to thank you for coming and doing this interview, and by coming, showing up on Zoom. We still can't do the really in-person side of things. We look forward to what's coming. Customers, if you have any questions, reach out to any one of our locations. Our Lakewood store is kind of our main hub for Airstream. If you have questions for Josh, we can certainly get those questions out there to Josh. And we look forward to seeing everybody. Again, thank you, Josh.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I love working with you guys. And a fun fact for everybody on the screen: before I ever worked for Airstream, I bought my Airstream from Windish 6 years ago. So I love the whole team there. You guys are great, and can't wait to get more people out on the road.
Well, we appreciate your business and your help now. So again, thanks everybody, and we'll see you real soon.